Kichwa, Kichwa, Kichwa. Let's set the record straight. Conversations with America, September 12th, 2021. Welcome, everybody, to the Let's Set the Record Straight. I'm your host, Radine America. And I hope you've had an interesting month. And I hope everybody's been safe and well. This month, we're going to talk about the principled people. What does it mean to be a principled person? Because of many of you who've been following the conversation, the word Uwaja means principled people, and that was the original name before it was changed to Cherokee in 1705. And so when we talk about learning what our ancestors were and how they lived and returning to being like our ancestors before they became and chosen to become colonialized, we need to understand what their names meant and what their words meant. Unfortunately, we just have a whole lot of people out there today who just make up names as they go. And they're not interested in understanding the awareness and how we lived. So, Uwaja is a very powerful name when you understand that it represented principled people. And in front of all of our millions of leaves on our tree and stems and branches, they always started with Annie, A-N-I, Annie Uwaja. And Annie Uwaja was the original name of the nation today called Cherokee. And Cherokee comprised of thousands of millions of smaller, what we would call today family names, communities of 1,000 people or more. And we all came together under one name of Annie Uwaja. So, you have Choctaw and Seminole and Catawba and all these others. And I'm just naming a few off the top of my head. But they all were under the umbrella of Annie Uwaja. And before the split between the males and the females, everybody respected each other as kin people, and we all saw each other as indirect cousins. And so we lived a certain way. And even most of us who come from big families, I think it's only in the last 60 years that our families have kind of gotten smaller. But if you're in my age group of the 60s and 50s even, you came from a pretty big family. And so it was in that family that's connected. I remember living in New York, and everywhere I went, I was related to someone. Someone knew a family member or a cousin or something like that. So we saw each other as an extension from the same tree, just on different branches. This week, I have a guest, and I'm going to see if he'd like to talk and chime in. We have Rick Moon. Hey, Rick.
Hey, how you doing?
I hope we can pick it up, Rick Moon, and he's here this month. And I know people never make a mention to it, but y'all probably was saying, Radine, you can add more people and interview more people. And the reason why I haven't is because a lot of people are just not on our page, and they have adopted, a lot of lingo and but they're really not functioning from the position of Uwaja. And anybody who knows the people who have stuck with it, we're operating from a pretty higher cut of cloth. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would.
And we're seeing the shortcomings. And so Elder Eugene, and I don't know if he's here yet or not. Elder Eugene, you here? Um, uh, 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 he was like, we need to continue the discussion on what it is to be indigenous. And we've done this oftentimes, what it means to be indigenous, but we may not have explained what does it mean to be principled. And, everything you read about our ancestors upon first arrival, there was a jealousy of our ancestors. There was, they never met a people that had such a high value for life. Were life enthused, had respected their life. So therefore, they had a respect for others' lives and the choices wherein. But at no point did those choices affect others in a negative way. So it was well written that, hand me that book right there. I'm going to read it word for word. In the Handbook for Survival Through the 21st Century, it is well documented that they made the comment, it was well documented, the comment that we were a people that if you did not get us to let go of our ways of thinking, that we were unbeatable. We were a unbeatable people. And so the question becomes, and I'm looking through it for the book because I know it's in here. I just don't know where. um, how did we become a people who are principled and to a people who don't want any parts of being principled today? Would you agree with that, or am I a little bit too strong saying they don't want no parts of principle?
Well, I'm not going to say that they think it's too hard. I just don't think that they're willing to go the extra. I'm sure they know what it takes to be principled, but I just don't think that they want to go through it. That a lot of them think it's hard work, and that's why I think a lot of people don't want to deal with it.
When you say work, what do you mean by that? Because it's not physical work.
No, it's not. But
okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, we're hard work.
Well, it's hard. Excuse me. It's hard to abide by the laws of nature, and that's what it takes to be principled. You have to. That is part of being principled. And so a lot of people can't find themselves because we've been changed and that we have a different mindset than we used to have.
Is it because we've lost respect for that?
I think yes, we have lost respect for it. I think we found somebody gave us a better way and an easier way, and we took it not knowing where it was going to lead us.
Well, you said better way. I'm kind of caught on that.
Think. Well, it's really not.
I don't understand how that was the better way.
No, it's not. But but our people figured it was a better way. It was easy.
Right. And it's funny because when you do the research on what happened to the people of Nubia, which we've been told call Egyptians today, the Carthaginians and stuff like that, they did not conquest them through war. They were having a war, but it was not physical war. What they came in there and they started making dollies, and every time these dolls, these wooden dolls, and every time a person made a mistake, if they went with the invaders who was bringing another cultural concept, you would just get so many dolls. You would have to buy so many dolls, and these dolls, these wooden tokens of human, were supposed to forgive you or grant you pardon from what you did. So people started doing this, okay, starting to forget the principles. And so therefore they stopped implying or applying care, compassion, and concern, respect, and value to telling the truth. Okay. And the same thing happened with our people. And that's what happened. And that's what actually tore down the intercultural threads of what uh, uh, the people of the Carthaginian people, the Nubian people, because these all peoples are made of subpeoples. Okay. Right. And so all of those people started having fires in their own houses because people started doing things that before was not collectively feasible. Okay. And the collective punishment wasn't always, I'm going to put you in jail, as much as it was, you lost your standing of respect, okay, with the people, and of course within your quadre. And then what I have found over the years of watching it is people lose their self-esteem. So it's chipping away at you, at your sense of value of yourself. Right. And as it chips at your value and sense of self, you start to become smaller and smaller instead of building out to become bigger and bigger. And it's through the building out that creates your legacy. And so before you knew it, the people were no longer working in unity, but they were working as individuals, surviving selfishness, which in itself is a trap.
Yep.
KTY everyone, this is Denise.
Hi,
everybody.
Denise. Would you like to add a comment?
Yes, I just want to say that when we lost our you say principle, belief in ourselves as a collective, and we bought into an individual paradigm, which was about what I want and what was comfortable for me, and to me that's somebody else's white folks shit, excuse the language. We lost our ability to sustain ourselves, and emotionally, everything is tied in. So if we're not supporting each other as a collective, then emotionally we're destroying ourselves, because everything is tied together, and our support comes from the collective, not the individual. So that's what I want to say. Bye.
Oh, well, okay. You don't have to say bye, but
No. I'm just going to pause. I'm going to put myself back on mute.
You're 100% correct in that understanding of what you just said. And and how long have we been doing this? I'm so tempted to write a book the last 500 years, how a patriarchy, but even when you look at patriarchy, okay, it looks like it may be an all male thing, but was it really? Because we have female patriarchs, and I think female patriarchs are worse than males in the sense that they have no care, compassion, or concern for the continuation of life. They will hurt a child. How many of us have witnessed a female that'll hurt a child? That is not hurting him, that looks at a child as a burden. How can we look at children as burdens that we create for the continuation of the bloodline into the future? So everywhere I've been on the planet, other than in the United States, children are something that is given a high regard. But yet in the United States, especially amongst the people who was born in the 20s and 30s. I find that they have little to no regard for children. They won't directly kill a child, but they'll indirectly do everything to kill a child to make sure that child's future, it does not have a strong future. What kind of people go around telling their daughters to go have an abortion and tell their sons not to take care of their children or help provide protection? When all animals, I've watched chickens and cats, all of them, all the males seem to be protective of a female, and they're all protective of kittens.
Yeah.
But why aren't we? Anybody like to give a comment? So we need to look at why we're not the principled people today. And so Elder Eugene had asked us to do the show because that was something we needed to talk about. What is being a principled person? And most of us have an ingrained idea in our awareness. We seem to know what is right and what is wrong. Okay, is it our emotional awareness that doesn't understand what is right or wrong, or is it our mental awareness? What kind of people? Because our ancestors, it was written that I'm looking for it. I'm still looking for it. I know it's in the book. I just got to find which page. And I know that our ancestors, it was written that our society was so nice that they felt that they could never conquer the people unless they got us to hate ourselves. And does the hating of ourselves first start with hating our mothers, hating the female? Because I'm very clear. We as a society of people, I've been doing this work for 20 some years, and I'm telling you, we are pretty hateful. And there's no one hates a female more than a brother, and there's no one that hates a female more than a sister. And I'm a sister, and I don't hate female. But most of the most hateful crimes that have been committed against me, guess what they were committed by? Unfortunately, they were committed by other sisters, who would do anything to cause me harm. Now, did life whip their tails? Yes, life whipped their tails. But I also noticed that they would cause harm. If they felt that you had anything positive to give to the children, they would be the first ones to make sure that, they use whatever influence they had to make sure that that child would lose a little trust. Do you follow me? Would lose trust. It would feel that it's abandoned. It would feel that it's isolated. And it would do everything it could to break the band the child would have with the mother or the father. Anybody else understand what I'm saying? Anybody else have a comment on that? And so when they do that,
Oh, hey, yes, please.
okay, say it again. We couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. Hello.
Oh, okay. I would while you're talking about this, I didn't really have an exact example as far as women causing harm to children, but definitely women against women. I've always felt growing up, and it seemed to be pretty common that women tend to be really competitive and seem like they have to be the only one at something. I know we see it a lot of times in our culture. Yeah, like music or anything, music or a lot of different entertainment sectors. It always has to be like one female that represents everybody, or one female in a certain sector or industry, or even career-wise, it seems like this always has to be just one instead of it talking about a group of women doing something. So I know I hear a lot about that singularity, and then just growing up, my own experience, it always feels like in general, especially around a lot of our people, if you walk into a room or around a lot of females, it seems like you would get that mean mug that people say, and just sort of like kind of that skimming up and down, checking somebody out in the wrong way with women, but other men would kind of acknowledge each other in the room, like, hey, what's up? Either they'll speak or do the head nod, and it's sort of like, I acknowledge that you're here, or the people that are around me. But women, they might not even say hi. They'll just kind of give you the side eye, or maybe start kikiing and secretly talking about you. So I definitely feel like it's even there in the younger and the youth as well. But it seems to me that it has like this sort of princess, one queen type of mentality where I have to be the only one that looks good or has the title or is running things, instead of being a band or a group, or like how men will have a brotherhood. Yeah, so I'm not really sure of why, but I definitely just thought about it being in so many different sectors of life as well, where it seems like somebody has to have all of the recognition for some reason. Like no matter what, it has to be me over a we type of situation.
I think what you brought up is very, very profound. And yeah, you could say it's a we over, but does it have to be? I always thought that if you do good, because sisters, whatever we do, it's innately within us to want to do it good. Do you follow me? And
Yeah.
And you should be recognized for what you do good at. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But why can't you do good at what you do, and then do something that complements what somebody else is doing? Why is it that, unfortunately, a lot of times, if I'm doing it and I do it well, you want to turn around and try to do what I do, and you don't do it as well, somebody else will turn around and want to undermine what you do.
Right.
Okay. And that's what I see a lot of. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've seen a lot of people, and they always want to cut your throat. They always want to stand on top of you when they shouldn't be standing on top of you. They should be bringing something to add on with you. Then you both can work with each other and respect the differences that you're bringing. If this is what I do well, then you don't need to come and try to do it better than me if you can't. And oftentimes, it's nothing to meet somebody who is going to then tell you you're obsolete, or you're like, but you're piggybacking off of the work I did. You're not bringing new work to the table.
Right. You're trying to copy the blueprint and you can't, because it's mine.
To copy the blueprint, and then you're going to try to make the blueprint better, but you haven't mastered a blueprint yet.
Right, any blueprint.
So when you master a blueprint, then you might be able to understand the blueprint you're working with better, because you can see the pros and cons and the hidden details that are not there. And we don't do that in general. And that was something our ancestors did as principled people. So we wanted to get to them today and talk about what is it to be a principled person. Because when you're following principle, you'll find that life doesn't allow you to get but so caught up with all what the non-principle are doing. And there's some life laws that, for instance, whatever you do, if life gave me this to do and I'm doing it well, and I'm mastering the details and the setbacks and the holes and I'm filling them in. And here you come. And you're going to go, well, I'm going to do what she's doing. But you don't want to ask, how do you do that? Can I help you? Can we work with each other? Are there areas that you feel that need to be identified? Because I may be doing this and it still has 27 tentacles. So can't you pick up a tentacle and get good with that? Then that's another piece of
Right.
okay, I'm doing my piece and you do your piece that connects with my piece, and we got a real strong two pieces. Do you follow me? That's
Exactly.
building. But we don't necessarily do that. And the reason why is because we don't follow principles. And one of the principles is that if you cause whatever harm you cause me in the destruction of building, so instead of you building with me, you're building against me. Life is going to let you build. And guess what? You're going to end up with all them people that are now going to step against who? You. So,
Yep.
so instead of us being able to build with each other to build something strong, we're building against each other. Now, I still may stay strong if I'm not out there hurting people. But if you're out there causing harm, and causing harm doesn't mean limited to I hit you or If you go and you steal from people, if you do not do anything to connect to build, you're causing harm. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
And our ancestors understood that in the beginning, or they couldn't have built the civilization. Here I found something from Benjamin Franklin. It says, no European who has tasted savage, which was Indian life, can afterwards bear to live in our society. Isn't that heavy? What do you think about that?
Wow. So they saw too much unity.
Principled people. If you live like that, I mean, and see, and that's what we got to get back to, really. And that was one of the ways that I was saying that we don't want to do the work. Uh, in order for us to be the principled indigenous people that we are, we got to start acting like it. And as a matter of fact, I've made some changes myself. You know, and I'll give you an example. Uh, I don't call myself African American, or I don't even call myself American. I call myself just America, and that's what I call everybody, because we are ascended from America, from her soil. So that's why we're principled. That's one of the reasons why. And in order for us to stay that way, we gotta start kind of acting that way. That's
Talking
why,
that way.
Yeah, that's why I cut out. That's why I say America. I don't know if y'all listen to me on African American and African. Every time I come on, I say hello America. I don't say hello Americans or Indians or none of that, because we are America. Because that's where we ascended from. So we're part of it. And anything that America put here is part of it. And you are no different than any other of America's creatures or creations.
Right. I agree with we are creators as a part of America.
Right.
We are creators. Each and every one of us was born to create and to build from our creation with each other. And from all the pictures I've ever seen, I see complete communities working for a project. Just like yesterday was the anniversary of September 11th. And all over the country of the United States, everybody got together to bring something into that celebration of recognizing and remembering when this act against United States, which was the bombing, the destruction of the World Trade Center. And, why aren't we doing anything like that? The only time we seem to want to do something is unless it's against. We show no care, compassion, or concern for what was done positive in our regard. You know, we want to hold on to people like John Lewis. And John Lewis was a traitor. You know, there was nothing about that was, you know, as far as I was concerned, he was a straight up Uncle Sambo. Couldn't be an Uncle Tom, he had to be a Sambo.
Yeah, Uncle Tom was cool.
Right, Uncle Tom was so he couldn't be that, so he had to be a Sambo, and he was proud of it. He was proud of being and not looking upon his ancestry as inferior, as obsolete, as something that wasn't worth. Yet it is our people who gave them food. They didn't even have food to eat. They didn't know how to make cotton. They made their clothes out of animal skin, preferably the sheep. And they would shave the sheep, and then weave their hair into fibers that made them clothing. That's what wool is. Okay, they didn't have cotton that we have, and taking flax and hemp and all of these different fibers. You know, it was written that there was over 300 fibers that we made into cloth. Denim is a cloth created by Amerindian people, and we used the tree barks. And that's what the men would wear. They would make a denim coverall that would protect them from, while they're on the horse and going through stuff, you know, it would protect them from snags, and it was their defense. And we don't understand any of that because we don't think that any of it is important to understand that there is another way of thinking, that we can be with each other. And so when we talk about principled thinking, what exactly is a principled person? And so I wanted to give some insight on that so that we could start implementing it, so we can become better people to understand that being principled, is what our ancestors were. And it's well written. Our ancestors, they said, were some of the most principled people. All right. And that everywhere they went, they said that our ancestors did not lie. Lying was something that Europeans brought here. And they found that Europeans lied about everything. And they quickly, so they had made it a law where it was okay to lie to a white person. They lying to you, so you lie back at them. But we didn't lie to each other. Now we don't lie to white people, and us, all we do is lie to each other. How many of us know people that just lie about everything? I mean, they wake up in the morning and they'll say a lie. You know, if it's sunny, it's raining. How many people know people like that? I know people like that. And I always be wondering, you know, how do they make it just constantly throwing out illusions and will not step into any kind of truth? That was not our ancestors. That's not what it means to be principled. I'm sitting here and I'm trying to move the screen, and for some reason it's not moving for me. So I didn't understand. Oh, there it goes. The principled people are people who live by the laws of nature, people who value life. We valued life. So we didn't kill we didn't kill the insects, you know, and that's something a lot of people, and it brings a lot of prosperity if you stop killing. Just stop killing things that are not actually bothering you. Right. And you can actually tell them to go away, and next thing you know, they're what? They're gone. You know, people see ants. I never kill ants. All right? All you have to do is expose them, and they'll pick up all those thousands of babies. And it's miraculous how they do it. You'll come back 5 minutes and you can't find an ant or an ant baby mound nowhere. They all come in and they collect those babies up and they put them on each other's backs, and they're going. And nobody never told them, look, you need to go and protect your babies. And so people will look at me and I'll go, no, you don't have to kill them. You don't have to spray nothing on them. You just have to let them know if the minute they feel unsafe, they're gone. Principled people are people who value life. And what does that mean? That means that if there's children around me, I'm going to make sure they're fed. And that was another thing that they wrote about, how there was no such thing as wanting children. They actually write about it. They didn't have to give the people money to take care of their children. The families, the extended families, automatically took those children in. Even people who, sometimes when we have children, as though you have children, you're supposed to have children at a young age. You're not supposed to be old with gray hair having children. Those children are not mature enough to really be able to properly attend to the children. They're somewhat still self-centered. And so the family took care of it. There was no such thing as a young mother actually taking care of her kids, because the kids were taken by the extended family, the grandparents. They would automatically kick in. And children naturally listen to the grandparents more than they listen to the parents. They want to see that grandparent. That's a part of nature. And that was a principle. And the children were supposed to watch what the grandparents do. So when they became grandparents, they knew how to teach. We learn through watching and doing. We actually don't learn that much through talk, other than how to apply, what to say, but you learn. And that's actually a principle. So you would not never take a child and tell a child something nasty about their mother or father. I don't care how mad you were. You didn't say that. You never said anything, because that child is directly connected emotionally to those parents. And it doesn't make a difference what kind of parents they are. The child will love the mother and the father, and it needs to. Because without that love for the mother and the father, it cannot develop love for itself. So when we do that, how many of us know people who will do that? Okay. And we lost that. And these were just simple principles too. Another principle, we didn't work no 40-hour week. We worked to get things done. Okay. And once they were done, and we all chipped in, so therefore, it doesn't take a community. It may just take two, but once it was done, then we rejoiced. Okay. And whatever a male does for a female, she's supposed to reciprocate. How do we reciprocate? We nurture. What does that mean? It means that you provide some emotional comfort, mainly cooking and making whatever the situation feel comfortable and safe emotionally with. A man will do anything if he feels comfortable. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, you right.
Okay, that you don't need money. Okay, and look how many females today don't want to cook. And when they cook, there's no love in it. How many meals you've had where the food had no love in it? Okay, what does that mean? It means that when they were making the food, they didn't necessarily care how it tastes. And was the food that they were making nutritious or not? And a female who takes pride in that, life rewards her. A male who takes pride in making sure that the people around them are safe, life rewards them. These are all principles that we valued. And we valued them because we had respect for life. And in having respect for life, we were able to respect our own life. And what I realized is that all that we have been influenced to do in our selfishness, the consequence to all of this is our self-esteem. People, have high self-esteem. Do you know how many? A lot of people have high self-esteem. I mean, they feel okay with being who they are. Anybody in the audience that don't hear me?
Yeah, I got high self-esteem. I feel good about myself, but you're right, Radine. A lot of people are just going through the motion. They're not connected. And they're not connected because they're not connected to nature. And they're not living principled lives. So
Well,
they
I'm not
fell
even
into.
going to say that they're not connected to nature, because there's a lot of people, especially if you live in the cities, they're not connected to nature. There ain't no real nature.
Yeah, well,
So to say
I'm
that
sitting up here in New York, so I'm talking from a New York perspective, but everybody's not in the city, but yeah, okay.
But even though they're not next to a tree or whatever, because nature is a city in itself. So if you're in the city, you're artificial. But I'm talking about that internal connect that allows you to know that that you need to be of service, and that all of our services, we have many services that serves a purpose, and it's through serving those different purposes that you build self-esteem. And when you avoid doing service, you lose self-esteem. I always know that I have something to do. One thing is for sure: if I may not, I have so much to do that I have enough to keep me going till 100. You know what I mean? Keeping a sense of purpose, and a high sense of purpose. And that was something our ancestors did. Now, I'm not saying necessarily writing about our culture is the only high sense of purpose. I see thousands of purposes for everybody. I think everybody has something to offer in the rebuilding of our culture. But we do not need to keep rebuilding it on tearing down the culture itself. And our ancestors did not necessarily do that. But everybody had something to do. Another ideal of principledness is we live through care, compassion, and concern. And when you have care, compassion, and concern, you mean that you can help somebody else do something. Okay. And if you are helped, then you should have enough to give back something to the people. Everything is backward and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it cycles. And the more you help, the more they other give, the more you can grow. It's just like a plant. If you have a plant you need indoors, and it's not living outdoors with the wild, then you have to water it. You have to show it care, compassion, and concern, just like nature shows us. And some of us will say, well, how does nature show it? You got up this morning? Were you able to breathe? Was there something to breathe? Okay. All right. And the rain made the water. Now, nature is not showing us care, compassion, and concern. And what's happening? The water is drying up. Would y'all agree?
Oh, yeah.
And if you notice the places that are going drought, you're going to find that there's no nature there, very little. You ever go out there to Nevada and all that stuff? That stuff they don't have hardly any trees.
Oh, no.
Okay, they don't have no forests that are thriving. They're steadily killing. Okay, they're steadily depleting. So isn't that a way of taking away? And now nature is like, okay, you crossed the threshold, and now we're going to take away from what? You. And we don't see it directly because may not be burning our houses up here in the north or what have you. But how many of you have noticed when you go to the supermarket, the selection is dropping? Anybody?
A lot of empty shelves.
A lot of empty shelves. Nobody else has seen that where they live?
No, definitely seen it in New York.
You know, Costco is going good everywhere else, because I'm gonna tell you, it's not. Well, I went to Costco in North Carolina. It looked pretty fine, but the selections of foods that you have are not there. I'm also noticing not just that the prices have went up, but the stuff is on the shelf longer and it's old. I don't know. Has anybody noticed that? I don't buy a lot of stuff from the shelf, but I've noticed a little bit there. I'm like, damn, this stuff is old. I bought some pastry the other day, and it was dried out. It was dried out. And I was like, wow, they should have gotten rid of this, and they didn't. Okay, so that means that it wasn't selling as fast as they thought it would, and they were going to leave it there until it does. Another
Yeah,
thing,
there was a lot of stuff in the news, especially since the pandemic started in 2020, that trade and manufacturing went down, and a lot of companies got rid of a lot of their like different products that they would have. I can't think of anything in particular, but let's say if it was a company that makes condiments, they just scaled down to just having one type of mustard, one type of ketchup, and one type of barbecue sauce, and that's it. And they stopped doing all these like different wild flavors. Yeah, stuff with chips as well, Lay's, but especially since the pandemic, and then the prices be going up because the money, they're just doing what is it called? Quantitative easing. I had to learn what that was like last year, and they just pretty much printing all this money by the trillion. So every time Biden especially is coming out with all these plans and the stimulus and the infrastructure plans, and that's just trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars being printed. And of course, it was never backed by anything for a long time, but all of that is about to raise the prices like crazy. I mean, we're really going into a bubble to where they're tearing down the currency, and then on top of that, like I say, manufacturing and trade has never really came back since the pandemic. So right now, it seems like there's a lot of stuff that's like the in the eye of the storm. Like we already had issues, but when it comes to the economics of it all, especially, I've been doing a lot more research and educating myself about money and economics and stuff since the pandemic. And I mean, we spent more money last year than the United States spent on World War II and during the Depression. Just last year alone, nothing for 2021. And I mean, past that in the trillions. So our dollar is about to be worth nothing. So that's and we're gonna feel that. So all this stimulus and everything that's going on, it's really gonna be the people at the, the bottom, pretty much, since the middle class is going, and we're gonna see it in grocery stores. We're gonna see it getting gas and all of those things, because bread is gonna be $12 a loaf. Stuff like that is just around the corner.
not only what you said is 100% correct, but just 10 years ago, less than that, you never heard of no $1 trillion anything.
Right?
I was like, all of a sudden, the government needs trillions of dollars to run. I thought it had cut everything out. So what do you need these trillions of dollars? But the word that gets me is it didn't go from millions. It went from millions to trillions.
Yeah.
What happened to billions?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have kind of totally usurped a whole section, and now everything is in the trillions. And you would have to say, well, who's making all this money? So the GDP of the United States is but only so much. So the gross national product. So where is all this money going? Okay, and that's not even for us poor people to contemplate.
Right.
Because I would have no problem admitting, if I was to go from a materialistic paradigm, I would be considered poor. But as though I'm living from an indigenous paradigm, I'm wealthy because I have a place to live. And you're saying, well, what does that mean? I have soil to live on. So as long as I have soil to live on, I can build a mansion, or I can live in a shack. But I have a place to build, to live. And that's something our people have totally ignored. And when our ancestors were living, they built all their own stuff. You created. And if it took you 1 year or 5 years, you did it piece by piece. You didn't need money. So you went out there and you found a half dead tree. Okay. And you used that for wood. And there was abundance of it in those days, because the tree dies if it can't get into the canopy. So just because it's growing, it'll grow up so high, and then all of a sudden it'll stop.
Right.
I'm just telling you how it works. And because there's not enough space for it to expand in the canopy of trees. And you cut that tree down. You don't cut the ones that are in the canopy. You cut the ones that can't make it into the canopy. And you could build you a whole lot of houses, because it's a lot of wood. It's a lot of trees that can be used, that need to be removed. And that's what our ancestors did. They were the soil keepers. We kept the forest. Do you follow me? And we used all that surplus. We use that to build and to create, and then we use the soil itself. So every male knew how to, one, hunt for food. Okay. Every male knew not just to build a house, but anything he wanted to build. It wasn't limited to just houses, because our ancestors built the biggest mounds on the planet today, the Serpent Mound in Louisiana, that goes all the way to Ohio. And that was built by our ancestors. So we used the soil. We built in, and I love working with the soil. We had lounge chairs made out of soil. Everything was made out of soil, and a little bit of wood. But and the stuff was nice, because soil doesn't burn. So we didn't have, I'm just being honest with you, it doesn't burn. So what burned was the leaves we used for a roof or something like that, but the soil itself didn't burn. Now, so when they came and they saw these people who lived under the canopy of trees, we, yes, it takes a minute to build a house, but for some reason, when the men do it, their self-esteem is risen. And I started doing it myself. And boy, you feel so good. You feel so good about yourself. Okay, so self-esteem is an emotion. And so here you are, you got a group of people who collectively are constantly receiving high self-esteem through the actions in which we took. How many of you have felt self-esteem? Notice that your sense of purpose goes up when you serve a purpose. Even if you're helping the sick, you're helping the sick. And next thing you know, you feel that you have a reason to get up in the morning. Anybody's felt that? Motherhood gives real high self-esteem. You're raising that child, you're keeping that child protected, you're nurturing the child. Tell me you don't get up in being a mom and a dad is just as good, is not better than reading a good book or going to a disco.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that's the first thing I learned when I became a mother was, doing that. And yeah, I wanted to party, but I realized I just did not get the same thrill. I wasn't getting so much thrill out of it anyway, but it was just something to do. And now I had something to do. And sitting there making sure that the baby was safe was more rewarding, okay, than jumping up and running up and down the streets. Now that didn't mean that when the baby wasn't asleep, I might not have wanted to go to the next door neighbor's house and we played some cards. We used to play cards and people used to go over each other's houses. Because I'm from New York, so everybody went to each other's house. The only time we used the phone was actually to tell somebody we were coming over.
Right.
Okay. That's all we did. What you doing? You want, and we come on over. And if you had children, you brought your kids, or you put your babies to bed. If you lived in a high rise, I lived in an apartment building when my son was young. So a lot of my friends were right there on my floor or in my building. So a lot of times we would check on each other's kids, and we would flip from one house to the other. Not a long time, no more than 2-3 hours, but just enough to get a breather. And then we come on home while the baby slept or the children slept. But all of those things gave you a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of worth. And I think that a lot of that, we lost our self-worth when we stop doing things that uplift life. So that's a principle. Whatever you do must continue the cycle of life. And continuing the cycle of life doesn't mean just having babies, but it could mean making sure that the garden's okay, doing something that helps life continue to cycle and build comfort. Then people learn to value their world. People who value their word is another principle that our ancestors found. It's a principle of life. If you say you're going to do something, do it. You want to lose self-esteem and you want things to keep going bad for you, say you're going to do something and don't do it. Make a promise and don't keep it. So now I don't make promises I'm not going to keep. And to give a case in point, I have people here, we were going to do something, we ran into, but I promised this guy who's a preacher that I would go visit his church. Now, was today convenient to go visit his church? No. But because I told him I was going to be there at Sunday Mass, guess what my butt did? I went to Sunday Mass and it worked out. I met him. He saw me. He was shocked. But I said, I told you I would come. And he just looked. Because I guess he's not around people who say something and do it. But I said I would be there, and I did it, and I felt good about it. All of a sudden, I got a very good feeling in my heart. Yeah, I'm glad I did that. I wasn't expecting anything from it, but I told him that I would be there. So that lets him know that I have integrity. Would you agree with that, Rick?
Yeah, I agree totally.
Yeah. And that's that's what our ancestors, that's what we mean by principled people. Would you like to add anything to that? I just covered the basics.
No, I think I pretty much said. I just think that if we're gonna be principled people, we need to start doing it. So
start following the details.
Right. I mean it's small steps, but any step gained is a step to the better. So I'm not perfect. It's still a lot of things that I need to do that I'm not doing, but I'm changing a lot of things that I'm doing, and I think I'm being rewarded for it too, because there's been a lot of things that I'll give you an example. I got pulled over by the police. I ran a red light. Wasn't nothing I could do. I was rushing to get to work. And I ran a red light. Police standing right there. He pulled me over, asked me where I was going. Told him I was on my way to work. He noticed that I had on my uniform, because I work at a college. And he told me, he said, "Well, today is your lucky day because you work at the college I graduated from." So I got out of it. I didn't get a ticket. I was late for work though, but I didn't get a ticket. And I think things like that will happen for you if you're trying to make those changes. It's not going to all happen overnight, But I think if I continue on my pace of gradual, I'll get there.
Yeah, but that's the way our ancestors were. So when they said principled people, we were a people who, once we set out to do something, we were going to do it. Okay, we kept our word. Your word in the olden days, and this is since I've been alive too. I've noticed it with the elders. What they told you, they meant. You're like that too. You speak what you mean. If you say you're gonna do it, I can hold that to the bank. You're gonna do it. So our values have to be that our word is a bond, and that you don't break that bond, because that bond builds trust. So we were able to trust each other, and I think that also built unity.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I can trust that you're not going to cause me harm, that you're not going to go out of your way to make me lose my sense of safety, because trust builds safety. Right. And that's a principle. Okay, integrity builds trust, which also builds a sense of safety. Okay, so we had safety with life, within the life that we had to live, because life is the biggest relationship we have. No other relationship is bigger than your relationship with life itself, the one that you wake up in every day.
Say that again.
Okay.
And and another thing that I do, another thing that I also do is, anytime I'm with a female, whether she's my mother, my sister, my cousin, or just a friend or something, if they're going somewhere, if I go somewhere with them, I make sure I go in with them. I don't. And if I see a female by herself, I ask her, where's your guy at, or where's your cousin, uncle? Because I just feel that if the females are protected, then they'll be more inclined to do something for you. And I think the power's with the females. I think once the females start using their powers, that they finish.
They who?
The enemy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the enemy is finished once the females start working on them. But the males gotta do their part. We gotta protect and make them feel that sense of safety. That's what's gonna make them want to cook for you and want to do all these other things for you.
Go ahead. It ain't nothing like it. When they start doing that, that's the best thing. That puts the man inside of his power. When you give him that type of treatment, it just works both ways. It's an all-around benefit for everybody.
But that was a principle.
Yeah, I wanted to say, excuse me for being late. Yes, I was listening in, but I do apologize for lateness of the hour. But I wanted to share. The other day was amazing. Was my wife and I, we went to the credit union, and this young lady was sitting in the car, which one of our sisters. And as soon as I came out and getting ready to get in the car, she locked her door. And I said, "Why did you do that?" She just, I don't know. And, it's funny that we don't have a sense of trust among our people. And as though, because I don't know if we look at each other as criminals, of they would bring harm. So we put on this protective attitude. And I don't think that should be among our people. But I do realize that times has changed. And I ask myself a lot, what is bringing this on, especially when I'm seeing young people who are afraid of older people. Have y'all noticed any getting into that?
I noticed that a lot of young people have no respect for older people. I will say that.
They don't have respect for that.
They don't have no respect for you. And
what do you think?
Righteous. Some of that disrespect is righteous. A lot of older people did not have anything for the younger people. That's what I said earlier. I said it's nothing to meet somebody, especially they born in the 20s and 30s. They almost hate children. They have nothing. It's like children, you were born. Okay, I'm stuck with you, but I don't have to do nothing for you. I was listening to a friend of mine tell her granddaughter how she didn't have to. She lucky she getting her hair combed by her. She didn't, and she was yanking the girl's hair out of her head and telling her to sit down and telling her, "You lucky I'm doing anything for you, cause I don't have to do nothing for you. I ain't your mama. I don't have to do nothing for you." It was yanking the girl, and I'm up here combing your nappy head. I was like, "Whoa."
That sound like my childhood right there. All this here, that's some reminiscent for me.
And she was yanking on this poor little girl, and when she was finished with her hair, and keep your head still. I mean, I was like, whoa. But it was all of this resentment and hate that she had because she was being bothered with combing the little girl's hair. And so I ended up telling her, in a nice way, because we and her would be fighting 24/7 all the time. Don't worry about it. I'll comb it. You go ahead on. And you go ahead on and do whatever it is you want to do. And she didn't want to do nothing but go sit down and be on the phone and watch TV.
Yeah, that's 9 times out of 10.
What got me was what she said. This is what she said. It's my time. I can do whatever I wanted to. Even if I don't want to do nothing, it's my choice. It's my time. And I don't have to do anything but sit on my butt and watch TV. I'm saved.
And she got treated like that too, though. Normally, I feel like these people who do that, it's like, I survived. I had worse. I'm still here. You'll be all right.
Right, like that's supposed to be the.
But you're right on that. Whoever just said that, you're 100% right, because I've heard that too. I survived. But if you survive without care, compassion, or concern, what did you survive into? Did you lose your sense of indigenous humanity in the process of it? And I'm not going to sit here and talk about my childhood. My childhood is just as ugly as the ugliest of uglies, okay? And it's, you hear these type of childhoods a dime a dozen. But why did we have to lose? And I didn't lose. I love children. I would not, and it's because I love children, they're not around me. And I could blame it, they're not around you because you didn't go out and get other people's children. I don't have other people's children because so many people are mean to their kids. And the minute you show those children some care, compassion, and concern, they take the children away.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen that too many times. We treat them like royalty because we love them so much. And the parents, the grandparents will turn around and take those kids. You don't see them no more. They take the clothes or whatever you buy them, and they throw them away, even though they didn't have nothing to put on their butts. I mean, it's like they make sure that those children get the message that you don't respect people who value you.
Yeah. And they be like, you ain't finna get used to this stuff that I ain't finna do. Like,
because they don't want them to get used to something that they're not gonna do themselves. Like, I don't want you to get comfortable to that lifestyle because I'm not about to do that. Yeah. And if you think that's what's about to happen, it's not. Ain't. But I feel like this topic that we're talking about with principled people, and while everybody's talking, I've been reading the principles that you have on here. And something just said in my mind, it feels like if to kind of put it into lesser details, it seems like having some type of spiritual connection to life itself, like to the now of life. Because I know a lot of religions and a lot of belief systems, they talk a whole lot about what happened before you came here, and they talk a whole lot about what happens when you're gone.
which is never anything that you are experiencing. And so when nobody really has any spiritual talk about life right now, and seeing the now as being something that is powerful or sacred in and of itself. And so it seems like if people have power and love within themselves, then like I'm seeing here, then you wouldn't have to lie. You wouldn't have to be disrespectful to somebody else to make sure they, you feel respected, or like all this stuff about putting the power outside of yourself, and like all these manipulation tactics all around you just so you can feel some type of power or security, instead of just feeling that within yourself, just being alive. And I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily connected to like the principled people's idea of living, but that's kind of what I'm getting collectively. It's like if you just felt whatever word you want to say, sacred or powerful within yourself, just being, then you wouldn't need or do any of these other things, or be afraid of other people, or have to say things and not do it, and whatever, you would want to do it because this is
who you are.
this is life. Yeah,
Yeah,
you hear the
in a nutshell, it's who you are, and that's part of being a principled person. But keeping on what you're saying, young lady, because you just said a mouthful. What comes out of the mouths of babes, in the sense that many of our people are disenfranchised with life. Okay, they don't want life. They're in life, but they have they have lost their sense of value for the lives that they live, for life itself.
right.
Okay, they're not living, they're not life enthused people, and I always tell people, either be life enthused or death enthused, but death is no pretty walk. I'll take life any day, but death is no pretty walk. And when you listen to the music, if you go to the average Black church and listen, by the time they finish praising a dead man named Jesus, okay, there's nothing in that church that makes you feel like you want to continue living. It just, you continue to live because you wake up every morning. Got it?
Right.
You have a life. So, but what are you doing with that life? Are you glad that life can move you forward? And they're not there.
Shoot, most people in church looking forward to what they're gonna do once it's over.
Right. And if you ever go to some of these sermons, they look at life as a burden, not life as something that you're supposed to build and continue forward. If everybody understood that life is cyclic, okay? So whatever, I'm going to give a secret, whatever you do in this life, whatever you don't do it, you will do it in the next life. When the next time you come around, when, if you are a male in this life, guess what you're going to be in your next life? A female. And so if you're treating females bad now, you're going to attract a male who was used to be a female, or the female that you dogged out or whatever. She's going to be the one now dogging you out. So when you understand that you can't run from nothing, I think that kept our people in line with that knowledge more than anything else. I know it keeps me in line.
Yeah.
It keeps me really in line, knowing that, okay, my next life, I'm going to be a male. So as a female, I may want to I may want to treat males a little bit differently. Do you follow me? Two, I am very, very clear that our ancestors understood that. They also understood that whatever you don't master with the trials and tribulations and challenges that you get walking your path with this relationship called life, okay, you're going to have to deal with it deal with it again from the other side of it in your next cycle. So with that in mind, a whole lot of people were nice, wouldn't you be?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Always saying, how can I serve? What can I do? Because you wanted to make you wanted your cycle of living always to be on a higher level. You didn't want to get the worst of that. You know, our ancestors understood that made them principled people is that when you are a child, whatever you did in the life before as a child, as an adult, you get a chance to get all your karma back as a child. And that made me understand why I had the mother I had, okay, and the father I had. Okay, what kind of people they were. Because I used to say, well, how the hell did I get these people? You know, my mother may have been my sister, or I was her mother. Do you follow me? Had a past life and thing, and now she's getting her chance because my mother did not want me to. I'm an abortion that did not happen. I'm a Roe versus Wade. Okay, and to this day, I'm in my 60s. This woman has no care, compassion, or concern for me. And that's just the way it is. It's nothing to be upset about, you know. And I had to ask myself when I was younger, you know, what did I do to deserve that? And then it came to me once I understood that you get whatever you did in your past life to it, you get it during your childhood. So that may explain why so many of our people, and it's not limited to United States. I want Black folks to understand it's not not Black folks, indigenous people understand it's not limited to just us. We could be in Pakistan right now. We could be in Afghanistan. Do you follow me? You can be in certain areas of Africa, of Kebulon. You can be in certain areas of America, okay, and be having a rough childhood. Now, in other areas in which they have not totally left their culture and lost their principles, they raise their children to be functional. That is the purpose of a parent. The purpose of a parent is not to hug and kiss. You can do that. Purpose of a kid is to raise your child to be able to be self-sufficient. That means your child should know how to cook. Your child should know how to grow its own food. Do you follow me? Your child should know how to do everything it needs so that it can take care of itself and move life forward. Tell me, is that something that we were raised like?
I wouldn't.
I wasn't. Okay. I was raised with a little bit, you know. I had to teach myself to cook. I had to teach, you know, it was not like that. And how many of us had parents and around people who felt doing that was a burden? You know, they didn't feel like doing that. How many of us have been around people who if you don't want to teach the child, I'll teach the child. Somebody else will teach the child. And they would actually block the child from learning something. And we couldn't have made it as a people for the thousands of years that we did if we were acting like that.
That's so true.
Okay, we couldn't have made it. There was no way we could have made it. So our attitude for supporting life had to be strong. We had to be life enthused. We had to be people who took pride in our children of what we created. And I do feel that most of this is a result of us losing the respect for the female, for the feminine. You know, today, no female, I'm not going to say no because I'm a female and I love being a female. But most females don't want to be feminine. You know, I love the fact that you're here with your husband and you have your child. I'm so happy for you. I wish I could kiss you. Anything we can do. Supportive, but you are the rare, not the norm. Am I right or wrong?
Very right. That's why I don't have, you know, too many friends either, because, you know, I can be nice and they can be nice, but then once the values come up and it's like I just can't get down with that. So, things change, and I have a very extremely small circle. But I feel like, again, I bring this up every time. I just see people in my generation copying TV. And I'm not sure if a lot of the elders realize it, because they probably don't watch a lot of the shows and watch all the crap that's on there. But I don't know, maybe it's historical from, the 80s and all the crack stuff, and how we definitely didn't had broken homes for a long time. But I just see people picking to choose their life off of a commercial or a show or a music video. And all of those things are all talking about competition. They're all talking about, I'm better than you. I'll stay over here while you, or killing each other. I mean, of course, you still have all that in rap. But I just feel like this whole cohesive idea of life and how everybody has a purpose, and then different stages of it and all that, nobody even sees that. Though, I mean, but that's just what I feel from my generation. They're all being raised off
I have
media.
children. I agree with you. And not only do they have no value for it, but they have been taught to feel that whatever values were out there were obsolete. Okay.
Right.
And that we don't have to do. I know and it's a lot of people, older people, promote that. You don't have to do nothing but what you want to do. You don't have to grow up. Okay. You don't have to share. Okay. I feel sorry for young people. We were talking about it today. Last night. There was some music that came on. Young people don't know how to slow dance. Okay. And slow dancing was how we got together. That's how you knew you could feel the person. Unity is an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't slow dance with the person, and you can't flirt with the person, and you don't get that other part of the person, the relationship becomes very, very, very technical and robotic. What's another word for that? You don't feel each other. And the whole object of unity is to feel each other. It's nothing like feeling the energy of another person, and it's not, I want to be good to you, but I don't want you to feel me. And unfortunately, that was something that had to happen because females were constantly being accosted. So you learn at an early age if you're going to survive. Okay. You can't feel because you got a whole bunch of people who looking at you as an object, and they're going to feel on you. So it's not a battle whether you feel them or not. You're going to be accosted. And that broke down the female's ability to feel. And then when you're young, you are forced into sex. And mind you, I'm saying forced into sex. It's not the young men that put you into sex. It's the older men that are put, because the young men don't know that much about it yet. But it's, and so, it has damaged our ability to unite with each other. So the fact that you can even find a way to reach out and touch each other is a wonderful thing. I know people who have relationships. They can't get off of base one because of all the psychological blockages. And it's basically based on fear. Fear.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is Denise. I hadn't even thought about the fact that young people don't go to parties and slow
Talking to your mic. We can't hear you.
I said I don't even think about the fact. I had not thought about the fact that young people don't slow dance, don't get a chance to form intimacy the way we did when we were growing up. I don't even remember that they go to parties. I mean, my nephew's 30 years old, but I don't remember him going to parties when he was here. So I'm trying to figure out what point did they stop interacting on that level, because that was an important step in our development.
But they don't do that today. I try to do it here. Not only that they don't do that, but if you go to a family reunion, And Eugene, I love what Elder Eugene did. Everybody wants to step, and they dance individually.
Right.
Okay, and he's the one who said, "No, let's everybody who's a couple, let's slow dance." Am I right, Elder? Did I get the story right?
Yeah, you got it right. Because every time I go to a function, I try to make sure me and my wife we slow dance, and the people see it feel uncomfortable when we do it, but then they'll slow move in, the ones who are married. And I think that people say, "Oh, it's a place for that," and I'm thinking this is the place for it. That's why I do it. They want to line, like you said, a lot of the single people and other people, they want to line dance single and all that. And I said, wow, people don't even want to touch each other no more.
Wow, that is really interesting.
Yeah, but
Thank
they
you for
don't.
sharing.
That was a principle. Singing
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and dance are expressions of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
That is the
Mm.
expression of the heart. And I would tell every couple I know, make sure that you hug each other at least once a day. There's some music come on, roll with each other. It allows the unity of the emotional union to become stronger.
I agree. It's interesting y'all bring this up because me and my husband are actually dancers, and we love dancing together and doing all that stuff. And we always thought it was so special to find another dancer, but I never even thought about it in the perspective of this conversation. Yeah, but we definitely feel like around the 2000s is when things changed, because we would bring up now how there's no love song. Any songs talking about relationships, they're laughing at you for being in one. Whether it's a girl saying, you better get the money because he gonna cheat on you anyway. So you better find somebody with money. And then the guys saying, oh, girls is liars. They're gonna leave you as soon as somebody come around with money. So you might as well not even get close. That's really the only things you hear. And I was like, wow. In the 90s, at least for me, because I was born in the 80s, so I remember in the 90s for sure it still had R&B and songs about relationships. And now, no, it's, what's that song? They say, I do something like a dog and pass it to my dog. I mean, that's really what, I mean, that's really, treat it like a dog, beat it like a dog, and then pass it to my dog. That's really, and that's in the club. And I remember when I got to a certain point when I was like, dang, because I used to always hear older people talk about hip hop and saying how degrading it is to women and, all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, just still dancing because I love to dance, but I was always into the music. But once I got older and I was like, let me start reading some of these lyrics. And then, you can't really bounce like that when you hear somebody,
degrading you. You just kind of like,
wait a minute, right? But I feel that it in the 2000s, for somebody who said when did it stop? I feel around the 2000s, music switched to being about just having hoes and getting money, and if you're in a relationship, they're laughing at you pretty much, and that's about it. There's nothing on the radio right now. I guarantee anybody try for an hour, you're not gonna hear nothing but either some crazy heartbreak. If there is one, I'm gonna jump off the roof type of thing, and that might be one for the day, and that's it. There's no love being played at all in music these days whatsoever.
Which is
But
crazy
people
because
don't dance anymore either. Dance has changed on what they call
no,
because what they call
they
dance
stand
today, we would never have called that dance. That's just some kind of white folks gymnastics put to some kind of music, because dance is steps. And the more you step and the more you create with that step, the more it charges your heart. So people like my mother and all them, they still dance. They're in their 80s and 90s, but you put on the music, boy, they can rock. And that lets your heart be good. But this society we live in, we must understand that everything about this society is to kill the life within you, to kill the emotion within you.
Yeah.
And it's up to us. Our ancestors had the culture of emotion. And if you embrace that culture and become principled, life is going to, you will be the example of what other people can resort to who get tired of it. You know, I remember I'm well traveled. And at one time, I don't care where I went in the Americas, okay, and even Europe. I'm talking about England. I've been to Sweden. I've been to Germany, and I've been to well, I haven't been to Russia. I've been to another country. And what happened was that I would go there and I would hear Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston, um, um,
Wow.
and I would be saying to myself, I'm going into the store or what have you, and I'm hearing all this music, and I know for a fact those people don't speak English. Okay. I understand what the record is saying. They're listening to the record for the emotional movement in the record.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you follow me? They don't know what the words are.
Yeah.
And some of them will be repeating the words, and they don't know what they're actually saying. They knowing what they're feeling. You go out now and you try where you go now. I don't hear our music at all. Country music has taken our place.
Yeah, dude.
Okay,
And this even
country
so
music
crazy.
you don't hear. Now I'm in Belize in the particularly indigenous areas. They still play the music, but they also play a lot of. They'll play R&B, and they mix it with a lot of that hard rap. Those people they're on curfew because they're killing so bad.
Gee,
Okay,
that sounds
everywhere
like
you go, all the movies that they see, they're out of Europe because England has a lot of influence, and they're promoting nothing but shoot 'em up, kill 'em up, gangs. There's no reason for anybody in Belize to be in a gang, but it's Belize City. It's not all over, but it's getting there. Okay, and it's mainly our people, our men. They have no respect for the females. I already know of 2 boys, 15 years old. They got shot in their heads, temple, because that's the way they kill you. They come up to you on the basketball court, you know, and you go to tie your shoe, and they waiting, and they coming to shoot you in your temple.
Well, what people don't understand, all of this is happening is because what we have the people have to understand why this is going on. Crime is big business because a murder case can bring in millions because you look at it, it's a business because look who gets paid, the prosecuting attorney, all the big people get paid big money for handling the cases. And the guy, he gets killed, he don't get anything. But the guy who murdered, he goes to jail. And the criminal, to my understanding, they get these investors who own the prisons get $150,000 a year per inmate.
woo.
So they are promoting crimes because it's big business. That's what keep the financial
business, but it also keeps our men in their most fertile years, which can overtopple them. It keeps them from implementing what their bloodline purpose is. Okay,
right.
that's a form of genocide, and we love it. You know, when you talk about the fact that most sisters today can't find a man, and I'm single. I don't want to be. You know me. There's nothing about me that likes being single, in the sense that I know that my highest good can be performed in unity. Do you follow me? You're supposed to be soil, male, female. It's not supposed to be soil, female. A male on also, you know, when my husband was alive, one thing I had noticed that when he was alive, the animals act differently. Okay? There were certain things that did not happen. We even had a deer run into the house once. which was to our surprise, very shocking. But the deer ran. Everyone knew that there was a male, a human male, and his energy orbed with the soil. He was the protector. And he did. You know, he did. I used to be out there doing the garden or doing whatever we're doing, and the snake and the chickens, the dog, the cat, the raccoon. Now we got a whole family of them. The raccoon. They would one day out there working, and next thing I know, they all in the bushes. Okay, but they were watching us. Okay, and they were watching us. Now I go out there. It's like, okay, we're not going to come, but there's something missing. And I've told Elder Eugene, I said, Eugene, there has to be a man here. Haven't I said that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not to being a man to be comfied up all up under me, but there's a seat here that needs to be fulfilled. And once that seed is fulfilled, things are going to move faster than they moving now.
That's correct.
Okay. We don't understand that we're being broken up because we're not operating through natural principle. And the natural principle is that a male and a female, once they are is a unit, we make things happen. Things happen. We just got to call it in. But the problem has become is that we have walked away from principle. And when you walk away from principle, you're weaker. So we are a very weak people. We don't,
Now,
we're scared of everything. You know, we don't build nothing. You know, we talk a whole lot of shit, but don't actually do nothing. You know, I was listening to the 112, 912 thing. And it dawned on me that all the white boys, you know, they were telling you where they were. Every one of those white boys had paramilitary. They were military. They were either in the Navy, the Army. Do you follow me? They did something. And they went and got their uniform when the building got hit. Because they felt it. And I was at Western North Carolina University, and I saw it on TV. And all the white boys that was working with me, you should have seen them. They got livid. They were ready. They were ready to get their guns. It's time to go to war. That was an act of war to them. And I had no idea so many men had all of this self-defense background. You know, you just look at them in their stuff, you will never know. All of them. Every one of them. I don't know what it is to meet a white boy that don't know how to shoot, don't know how to hunt. Do you follow me? They have survival. What should we call them? Survival skills or military skills?
military skills.
They have protection skills. They got it.
Well. Let me say this, Red, if I may. You mentioned something that about 2 years, I think 2 years ago, they had over 460 homicides in Chicago, Illinois, until the point that the president wanted to send a team to find out why these black people were killing each other.
You still there? Are you asking us a question or are you making a statement? Elder Eugene, can you hear us? He just disappeared. Elder Eugene, please repeat. Hello? Okay, well, anybody like to comment on that? I don't know. I think we lost them.
I could just say something. I wanted to say something as far as black people over there in Chicago. I've noticed because I'm from Chicago, so and now we live in San Diego. But I know that in itself, the energy field over Chicago is a real. I want to say like real, almost murderous type of feel. Like you always gotta have that sense on that I'm watching everything everybody next to me is doing. You know, like you can't walk around with your guard down. You have to know that like you always got a feeling that somebody is going to do something at some point. And I was just talking to my brother the other day, and I was like, man, you know, San Diego is amazing. Like here, you don't have that feeling where, you know, you don't have that feeling where you got to walk around with that radar always on. And he was like, yeah, because all I'm doing here is like, you know, I'm staring at you, you staring at me to see who's about to do something, who's about to do something to the other person. And you know, like I gotta watch you because I don't know what you about to do. You gotta watch me because you don't know what I'm about to do. And that's like, and I was just thinking in my head, like, yo, that's definitely not a good feeling. And I was wondering, like, when things were happening with our ancestors and the type of energies that was over there, like there are different people everywhere, which is different energy everywhere. But the one that's over there by Chicago was real, like, it's like you really had to be suspect of what somebody else is doing.
You were saying you was wondering if like the tribes up there were a little bit more cutthroat as well, or like, you know, right, just like cold environments and stuff.
I'm gonna
exactly.
be honest with you. It is written, and I think I got it in this book here. Just gotta find it again. Where they told you that there was no form of crime here. There was no form of crime. And
right.
and when you mess with one person, okay, you mess with the whole family. It wasn't a thing whereas I mess with you, and no. You came connected to a family and we could be second cousins. Okay. And so I'm not saying that everybody was good, correct, because I come from a big family on my mother's side. But when it came to fighting, you know, the last big fight I had was in college. And it was funny because when they fought me, you incensed, and everything was done on principle. So if you broke a principle and got your ass whooped, then nobody would get involved. Do you hear me? Nobody. I'm from New York. People will kill you for a penny. I saw a girl's face smashed with a Miller, you know, those beer bottles. And
Miller
she
Lite
came up to the girl. She was a little yellow girl, one of them yellow girls, trying to make a mark for a name for herself. She came up in the park and she saw some other girls drinking some beer. And she walked up to the girl and she went and said something, you know, hey girl, what you drinking? And she snatched the beer out of the girl's hand and went and took a swig of it. Okay. And she gave the beer back. She gave the beer bottle. It was one of those, what you call, quart size. Mm-hmm. And she gave the beer bottle back. And the girl took the beer bottle and hit it up against the benches. No, the benches. You know, we sitting on them benches. Oh. She hit it on the back of that bench, and that bottle went into that girl's face. She sliced that girl so fast and told her, okay, don't you ever snatch shit out of my hand. And that's the way it was in New York. Now, and nobody got involved in it. You know, nobody tried to, you know, some of the people pushed her back off the girl, but ain't nobody defended the girl because the girl was what? She broke GP. Yeah. You don't take nobody's bottle out of their hand. And this is the way we lived. I call it general principle, but all my family were they were rough. I was rough too. I'm not going to sit here and make it like I wasn't a patsy. I had 57 fights before I got out of junior high school. So
yeah, me too. I think that's New York though. Something about New York, you just, you know, you ain't afraid to start scrapping.
You know, and it was like, if you don't start, my motto was, don't start no shit, won't be none.
Yeah.
And I didn't start fights. But I had fights from the A train, the West. I mean, anybody who knows me from them days, I had to fight and protect my faith. And so, you know, but there was a principle that we still followed. And that principle, as I got older, it kept me out of a lot of stuff because I wouldn't break a principle. Do you follow me? Because I knew if I broke that principle and I would have to go toe to toe, it wasn't a toe to toe that I'm going to put you in the hospital. It could cost you life.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in Brooklyn and stuff, I got to stomp you. I got to put you down. Do you get my drift?
And let everybody know watching not to try it either.
Right. You know, but you had to put them down. And I was a lady. And a lot of time people had problems with ladies. But that didn't mean I wouldn't go toe to toe with you. But we had a principle. And I found that when F.I.A.H. stayed in principle, somebody would step up. I had 2 white boys fight for me once. You know, but anyway, we're not going to go there. But the bottom line was that we stayed in principle, and that's what kept everybody safe. And it seems like all of that's gone now. And why is it gone? And the people's lives are miserable. So when we talk about indigenousness, maybe we need to remember that our people, when you say you're indigenous, you're operating from principle. And that you're living to not break principle. Now, as a person who lives in principle, I'm telling you, it's a good life. A lot of crap that's happening to other people do not happen to me. And learning how to be patient and obey it can be a little bit more challenging, but if you do it, you come out always on the top. So when I get too confused and too conflicted, it's I let go and I let life. Everybody say that.
Let go and I let life.
You say that when it gets too conflicted so that the principle of life can take over. Because you may not see it, you know, but you want that other part of you to work it through. Okay, because everybody today is not principled. So a lot of unprincipled people are scrupulous. They lie on you. They do a lot of things to constantly keep you in a muck and mire. But I've learned I let go and I let life and I step it back. And it never fails. I come out victorious and I don't have to have all that stress. But that is what our ancestors were. They were principled people. So in order for us to be the way we are today means that we've ignored the principles of the feminine quality of nature, because nature is feminine and masculine.
That's true.
No, it's not one or the other. It's both. And each one of them is what we have to learn. And when you honor both of them, you become principled. And that's how you do it. It's honoring truth over a lie. It's honoring what your word is your credit. You show care, compassion, and concern before you trash a life, any form of life, whether it's a tree, it's a bug. We don't do that. We speak truth instead of a lie. We know that life is worth having. We know that life is a value. And we will defend it to the end. And as a result, we are trustworthy people. We're people with integrity. And we don't run from a challenge.
That's right. Can I finish? I got the computer got cut off, but I wanted to make a point here. Okay. What they also found out when these gang shootings was in Chicago, and just one lady pointed it out. She said the people that live here do not live in a natural environment. we have been taken out of a natural environment, which affects our emotions, psychological makeup, all of that. So if you notice where most of our people live, they live in projects that are built by other people, which is not built by their own hands or their own culture,
You also
which cause a lot of disruption.
You also, I'm sorry, I just want to add this in on what you just said. You also notice that the project has no trees.
Exactly. But if you ever take a stroll to where what they call the elite type people live, they're around water and a lot of trees. Whereas our people, there's hardly no trees on anything, and they pointed that out. And the lady said, this is perhaps one of the problems. They're not living in a natural environment because she said something to the fact that we were the principal people. But of course, they didn't want that to get out because she hit it right on the head, because she said that's what these people don't live in their natural environment. They did a study about mice, and if they put mice in those type of enclosures, they would start killing each other. But they took a green leaf, just a green leaf, and put it where the mice was. It quieted them down.
Wow.
Just a green leaf quieted the mice down. The experimenter took that green leaf out of that box. The mice went to attacking each other.
Wow.
So there is something about living in our natural environment that affects us.
So
that's why they cut the trees down.
So it's up to all of us. Well, the trees give males power, you know, and they write about how they didn't think our men would allow them to cut the trees, but they did, because our men in the beginning started the timber industry, which is one of the biggest industries in the United States. But that means that each and every one of us, in order to get your principal power back, either you move to a place where there's trees and allow more trees to grow, or you start planting trees and making the place where you are green. It's not important what, long as the tree is indigenous, you plant it. And you put yourself around it. And if you're around trees, make sure that those trees are able to be safe. Making a safe place for life is what will keep you in the principal vernacular the principal paradigm, and it will allow you to grow. On that note, we didn't do our affirmation before we leave. I think we had a good show. Elder Eugene is the one who suggested it. Do you think we met most of the criteria, or is there anything else you would like to add?
I think you covered a lot of the criteria about what it is to live in principle. Yes, you covered a great deal of it. Thank you.
And because he brought it up, he said, Radon, I think cut off everything else. Why don't we talk about that? I'm so glad that Rick Moon is here visiting us, and he was able to put his opinion in. Is there anything else you would like to add? What does it mean to be a principal person?
Well, I mean, we pretty much covered everything that I can think of anyway. But I did want to say, thank you for bringing me on the show and having me here, and I look forward to coming back. And also, we, like I said earlier, I can't. If I may repeat myself, we need to start practicing these principles. And I think the more we practice these principles, the closer that we'll get to where we need to be. And with that, I just want to say thank you, America, for listening.
Oh, wow. That's so nice. That's so nice. And I will make sure. I haven't been able to get up the last few podcasts, but if anybody wants a podcast, just email me and I will send the podcast out. On that note, thank you so much.
It's okay. I wanted to say something really, really quick before we get off, if you don't mind. I know that last time we talked about having a network or something online where we could all join together and have more conversations and bring more stuff online to a place that was just for us. And I know that me and you were playing kind of not phone tag, but I guess
we
email
playing
tag.
phone tag, baby. We playing phone tag because I've got your last email and I've tried to reach you twice and I have not been able to get nowhere.
With my phone number?
Yep. The last email you sent me a number. I don't want to even discuss it on the air.
But I didn't get the call from you, but I called you and left a voicemail as well with a different email address and my phone number. But either way, I just wanted to say that I did go ahead and create a community. Me and my husband did it ourselves during this last month. Cool. And we called it Club and Digi. And so it's pretty much just like a Facebook. You're able to upload videos and comments, and you can share. And
now, are you going to monitor that?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to monitor it?
Oh yeah, this is us. This is ours. So because I wasn't able to get it,
opens up to the public. Rick Moon will verify because he's with African American ain't African. It can get really, it can get ugly from all the people because everybody is not pro indigenousness. You have a lot of people. I'm just giving you a heads up. So I need you to monitor it and keep it on a certain level. And when you see people trying to take it to other levels, what do? Block them or something?
Yeah, we're able to go ahead and take them out. We already have all that in our terms and conditions about what it is. I mean, it's the same thing like if we were going to have a labor and delivery group, and if you try to come in as a transgender, you can't be in the group because you're not really talking about what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? So
put that in. I have all the. We'll get a lot of those. You will get a lot of the non-nature people, the homosexuals and all that. And indigenous folks were not homosexuals. No. That was not something that was not in nature. You don't see dogs going to bed with male dogs. I mean, you don't see none of this. And so all of that was considered a fluke. I don't have no problem. I don't know what a transgender is. Somebody came up to me the other day and said that, and I said, well, I don't know what you are. All I know is you look like a man. You look like you got a penis and you got titties. So I'm gonna take it that you got penis and you just been taking estrogen.
Right, you can't really. But the point is, I just wanted to let you know that I did send you an email and I sent you an invite if you want to go ahead and take a look at it and take a look around the site.
You got to send it again because I didn't get no email and no invite.
You should. Yeah, we just sent it right before today.
Oh, I was getting ready to say because I know I didn't get nothing like that. I was looking at your number the other day, and since Ida, we had I got more roof leaking problems, so I've just been kind of distracted.
No, it's okay because I left a voicemail. I know it. You guys have options on the phone number, so I wasn't sure if I clicked the right option and left the voicemail in the right place. But either way, I knew that I just wanted you to be a part of it since you pretty much seem to be, heading this off for so long. But this is really something that me and my husband wanted to do anyways, and that really was the inspiration for us coming on the call for all these months, was just trying to find out more from our elders and people who have been doing it. And I just got really inspired to go ahead and create it. So we have it created. I sent you, like I said, an invite. We're actually going to start our marketing for it this week, but it's called Club and Digi. And I have, if you want to, whenever you look at it, if you see it's fit for F.I.A.A.H, I definitely have something where you can send it to your audience or anybody who's interested to come on in there and have a conversation.
Yeah, we would love to send it to the audience, but I'm just telling you, this is not the first time we've done an open forum, and I was shocked at all what happened. But you got to monitor it, and it's going to it's going because we have just a lot of mentally ill people, today.
Right. Have you ever heard of somebody named Dan Calloway?
Of course.
Yeah,
Leave him alone. Sell out, sell out, sell out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Dane is a more. Dane was selling more.
Oh no. They just had a live. He just had a live thing I watched yesterday, and he kicked them people off. He was like, I don't have nothing to do with Moors. I'm not talking about who nationality. He was like, whether you change your nationality, it's not going to change what the government is doing. This was just last night. He had a live stream, and he cut them people off. It was like, this is not about any of that.
He's lying.
If anything,
his father is Hemok, and Hemok is a straight Moor, and his mother's white.
Oh, I don't know anything about that. I was just bringing up the fact that.
Well, I'm just going to say this much. As you know, F.I.A.A.H has been around much longer than Dan Calloway. And I just found out lately that his father is Hemok. Hemok is registered with us. And he's done some really ugly stuff he's not a principled person. And we stay away from him because he's hurt so many people and lied on them. So just be careful, okay? Just please.
Yes, I appreciate it.
About your principle, then follow the people who are following nature. But unless Dan Calloway has stolen a lot of stuff from other people,
right,
in which all he had to do was give them credit from where he got his knowledge. And he has not done that. And so he got caught. So don't drag everybody's dirt. But I'm going to tell you, if you open up the door, all of that's coming in. The Afrocentrics and all these people with, who are looking for whatever. And I thought that you wanted something that was a little bit more private and with people who really are walking indigenously. Right. Do you follow?
It is. It's not open to the public.
Can I chime in? Can I chime in, please?
Please.
How you doing? Hey, I was listening to your conversation about Dan Calloway. I subscribed to his channel for a couple of years now, maybe about 4 years. That was a pre-recorded live that he did the other night. It wasn't live, or actual live.
Oh yeah, I was just saying it was a live.
He put it on late at night. It was during the time when this girl by the name, she has a channel called Unpack with Chief Janice.
Yeah.
She does a lot of real live stuff, and she's real deep. He put that on there to almost try to redirect her audience, her viewers, towards his channel that night. And that's what he did. That wasn't not that wasn't a live, actual live.
Right.
He actually did that in the daytime, and he put it on at night. He put it on maybe 10 o'clock at night while she was on. So she has a great channel, great content. She talks about land patents and how to get your land back. So if you want to check out somebody that's real deep, and she's like, I think she's from Georgia. She's talking some real heavy stuff, and he put that on to interrupt her live that night, which I think that's what he did.
And he was another thing you got to.
He has a larger audience. He has a lot more people on his channel, and I think he was trying to redirect her viewers towards his channel that night. It wasn't live at all. It was a pre-recorded.
But it was not a principal thing to do.
So it was not live. So don't.
I didn't mean to say that it was on live. It was a live stream video. I know that it was in the morning. But I did not know anything about his father. I literally was just trying to bring up the fact that there are other people out there that's also trying to get their land back and trying to get soil. That's really where I was.
And I also wanted to say
with that.
But Chief Janice be talking about that, and she goes real in depth detail.
Can you repeat her name again?
Her name is Chief Janice. Her name is Unpacked with Chief Janice. Unpacked with Chief Janice. Go on her channel. She's very heavy, and she got a lot of content, and she does a lot of research. She actually go around the towns, into the graveyards where the mounds is at, and she's real powerful. And for some reason, he's been going back and forth with her and other people, because I heard a lot of other people talk about he stole a lot of their content, and he created videos from what he heard from other people. You know what I mean? And that's how he created his own. Yeah.
Well, I would say what I would have to say about that personally is, you know, what everybody's intentions are as far as creating the content and about owning, you know, different content. Of course, there's a big thing about copyright when it comes to creating certain artwork, but really, this network that I'm creating here is to share the information all together. So if Dane Calloway or Chief Denise and somebody else or anybody wants to come in and just create a hub of all this information, I'm not really too privy to getting involved with who owns, who found it first, who did the research, because I just feel like
that's not what we were saying. Please, let's not get this. We were sharing you. They were sharing with you what type of person. So if this person is principled or not, okay, and what kind of principles that they follow. Now, from what I've just heard, and I don't know Chief Denise, and I really don't know Dan Calloway that well.
I know Chief Denise.
Okay, yeah, but I don't. And I'm just saying, from what I just heard, it sounded like that was a very unprincipled thing to do.
Right.
To do something where you're going to redirect her people without going through her. That's sneaky. That's underlanded. That's why we don't have the respect for each other now, is because of these type of actions. So thank you for giving us a straight up example of what we did not do.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that's
I thank you guys for giving that knowledge too, because like I said, I was just bringing up the fact that I know people are out there trying to get soil. I had no idea about, you know, right, the what was under that avalanche. I mean, not the avalanche, what's the that iceberg there of them themselves. I was not aware of that, but I just really wanted to say that there's a lot of people who are genuinely out there researching this history and are trying to find out more about their family, that really are getting a lot of places online to be able to do so together cohesively. And so that's really what network.
And that's, you know what, that's one of the problems I got with Dane Calloway. All Dane Calloway is a glorified history teacher. He ain't started no organizations. He's not doing nothing for them. He don't have no community. He don't have none of that. All he is a history teacher. And so I also know, as a matter of fact, I got a show written out about him that I've been meaning to do for years. But the only reason why I haven't done it is because a lot of people like him, and they would probably turn on me if I would have did it. But I got a whole bunch of dirt on Dan Calloway, and I got stuff that he said out of his mouth that I was gonna get him on. So I wouldn't trust Dane Calloway as far as I could throw the whole state of West Virginia.
I thank you guys for
I'm still a subscriber. I still subscribe to his channel. I still subscribe to his channel. But what I'm saying is that
much, dear.
What I'm saying is that he's only here to make you think. You know what I mean? That's why he got that thing at the back. I'm only here to make you think. That's it. But other people is actually trying to get things going, get things moving, make you see what you had, trying to bring that back into your life. I know Chief Denise is one of them. And so if you want to check out her channel, her channel's Unpacked with Chief Denise. She's on Facebook.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
But I still check out Dane. There's a whole lot of other people too, But Dane
Calloway, and I want to get. That's the whole point of the network, is create a living library of all of this information. So I really appreciate it. At some point in
time, dear, you're going to have to set some principles.
That's right.
In which you're going to live by. And I'm sharing this with you because we have watched a lot of fighting and infighting and low lifeness and people doing all kinds of stuff. And
people trying to pimp other people's work.
Okay, now I don't care what anyone say. It is recorded in United States Congress, the first book that was ever written about us being Negro people, being Amerindians, being the Indians, was written by me. There's only one book, and she didn't do it to the extent I did it, was by Empress Vertice, which you hardly can find, okay, called the Ancient Ones. Before that, there was no writings whatsoever. And all of these people, including Dan Calloway, got their start from reading that little book called The Black America's Handbook for Survival Through the 21st Century.
But I appreciate all of you guys. Honestly, I appreciate everybody who came across the knowledge and wanted to share, to be honest.
All I'm saying is that we need functions and foundations that really want to promote what the principles, what we are, and not get caught up into a lot of stuff that actually does not get us to plant a tree.
Right.
Because the truth of it is this, dear. In order for you and your wonderful husband and that beautiful baby that you have to have a future, we got to stop talking about what we could take from them and start working with what we have. And it's not outside of us. And if you can have a show where people can understand what indigenousness is, okay? Now, I'm not interested in the land patents because we actually have 500 acres, okay? And we've done the land patent work. And I don't care what anybody says. That's not how United States government is working it. Got it? Okay. And so there is not going to be all the paper. You can write all the paperwork you want to. The Land Patent Office for the whole northeastern quadrant of America is located right here in West Virginia. Okay. And you try to go up in there and find you a land patent. They're real quick to show you what the United States government has steadily been doing. Now, since in the last few years, we have lost what we call the public land trust because that's what it was put into.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And nobody other than in my book, I have yet to read anybody want to talk about the public land trust. I've been looking for lawyers, anybody to help us so that we could sue over that. But the public land trust was made after 1868. I think it was actually done in 1865. Because our ancestors were not fighting to be free. They did not fight. The men did not fight to stop slavery. Okay? Our ancestral grandfathers actually were the Confederates, and the Confederate flag is theirs.
Right, yeah. I just
okay? And they lost the war. Yeah. Please hear me clearly. They lost the war. So the question becomes, what happened in exchange for losing the war? And they put all the land of America, anything that our bloodline, because the blood is ran through females, is connected to, became under the auspices of the United States. And that's when the United States changed its name from United States to United States of America, or United States over America. It is about you and me. And that little girl. And the men who were supposed to defend the inheritance of the blood to the soil. And we still have not done. All we're doing is running all around and now. You got close to 200 million non-indigenous people living here. They're squatting everywhere. They're killing everything. And at this particular time, for that little girl to have a future, we got to rebuild America so she'll have a place to live with America.
Right.
So that's the reason why you don't see us getting caught up in all this other cuckoo-ness. It has nothing to do with, and let me tell you something. The trees are dying. We were just talking about it. The plants are not making it. I did a garden this year, and the plants never grew over 3 feet. Okay, we got a problem that's much bigger than land patents.
Right. There's a whole lot, and that's what I just aim to collectively be able to give a space where everybody can have that conversation without fear of being I'm sorry.
Just be careful, because you got a lot of people who don't mean no harm. I don't think Dan Calloway, I don't think that, no, stop. I don't think that all the HEMOCs, and because I know HEMOC, I know Joseph in his first name, I know all these people over the last 20 years, a little bit over 20 now. These people are people who is trying to make a hustle so that they can live. Okay?
Right.
Is whipping their asses. Let me tell you. Because every time they do something jacked up and go out, everything that they try to do falls on their face. I know a brother who is the baddest brother, who knows all of this stuff like the back of his hand. He done got beat up so bad by all these different groups and all this stuff that now he sits up in Tennessee and he hardly messes with anybody. Okay? Because that's who I wanted to have him on the show. Okay, and he can talk. He's been there. He's done that. He's been to jail. We've all been to jail. When you talking about a principal, we will go do the 9 yards and sit in front of that cracker and go to jail and be put in solitary confinement. And when you come out of a solitary confinement where you've been sprayed on and been almost damn near had to piss on yourself in the whole 20 yards and sit in it because there was no place else for you to go, you start re-looking at your strategies on what can our people do. How can we use our power so that we can help nature fight this war? And the first thing we have to do is return to principles. And that's all we have to do.
Yep.
That's it. It's not hard. So when you say you have all these people up there, okay, coming in, and you will, because this will burn you out like it burned the other people out. You're going to find out that you got a life. Okay, and your life is not about trying to set all the fires that Amerindian people in their living in their ego will do. Okay? In their zest for them making money. And if for every dime that they make, they lose it. They got to pay a consequence to life from that. Our people were the people in our blood. We understand and we have it. The principles that life worked through. And as long as you keep it a little bit clean, because it's going to get funky. Mark my word, you're even going to have Africans get on it. I'm telling you. You got people from Africa telling you how much they hate you. So
I was gonna say that only thing that I was able to do about that is make it not free. So it definitely is $7 a month, because I'm not selling anybody's data. I'm not having any advertisers coming in, because that's really where you get to where people have to censor and hide information, is because they're listening to all of those other higher ups. And so when you have a private network, you don't have to do those things. But I also, if with your permission too, I would like to have these principles here pinned up in the network as far as part of the environment and the mission and what we run on. And that also will be part of whether you get to be in the network or not, is going by those principles and what we're doing as Amerindian people. So where you are talking about being a more or talking about anything else besides what this network is for, you know, we just have to let you go because that's not what the group is for. Of course, you sign up to play football.
That's all that matters. As long as you.
I want to say.
Oh yeah, I already have legal right to do that. But again, you know, if I say I'm doing a football team and you want to come play baseball, you know that it doesn't matter. You can't be part of the group. So you know, that's really how I see it. And I already have all the legal.
Is your husband 100% for that?
Oh, we both made it.
Oh, absolutely.
No, the reason
I wanted to say something to the young couple.
You gotta flex when she says no, and you agree with it. You gotta have no hesitancy to flex and do what gotta be done. Cut it off.
But I wanted to say to the young couple that we inspire you to do what you're doing. But my suggestion to you before you go live, in your community where you live, try to find people of the same like mind. Invite them to your dwelling and see how they think before you go abroad. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because you want to keep yourself, your family safe, you know, and also find out where people's mindsets are first before you get involved and give a lot of information to them, because you got a lot of vultures that like dead things. And you're going to run into that. But be careful. I know you're excited. We want you to be excited, but always remember, start small.
Well, on that note, I gotta go, y'all. It's we over time now, and I want to say thank you for coming. Thank you for coming every month. I will make it a podcast. I need help. You might want to help, because to get all this stuff out. I've been overwhelmed, but now I'm learning to say it. Oh, so I've grown a little bit. And that thank you for being there. And until next month, I will speak to you soon. We didn't say stay life enthused, so let's do the affirmation. How many of y'all using the affirmation? I don't know.
Yeah, I've been using mine off and on.
I don't have it written down.
Well, okay. Well, I'm gonna say you can't say. Okay, building life energy. You're gonna need to use it because life has changed. My allegiance is to life, earth, and America. I value the blood of life given to me. I respect the blood of life shared with me. I love the life force that flows within me. I trust the power of life to provide, sustain, and thrive through me. Principles that govern life protect me from the ego perceptions of man that bring fear. And we're going to add one more word, confusion. My allegiance is to love life, earth, and America. And life enthused is how life enthused, focused, purposeful, and fearless is how I remain.
Each way.
Okay? And that's the power. Please use it. I know it's easy to forget it, but I guarantee you, if you start doing it every day, before you know it, you'll have the strength to stand as the principal person and to keep the darkness of the people who are unprincipled and wavering and confusion away. On that note, stay strong. Thank you. Until next time, I'm going to do what the devil never did. I'm going to let you go.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
And keep you all, everybody. See you soon.
Keep you on.
Keep you out.
Teach you way. Teach you why.
I don't know about the channel.